What if those whispers in the ancient Slavic forests are more than just the wind? What if the snap of a twig in the dead of night isn't some animal, but something watching you from between the trees? Beyond the fairy tales we all know, a darker court holds sway. These aren't just monsters, they are the demonic rulers, the noble devils, and the shadow kings of the forest. Their power is rooted in the very soil and soul of the wild. And while many of you have probably heard of the Leshy, the famous guardian of the woods, he's just one figure in a much larger, more terrifying world. So today, we're venturing into the deepest shadows to uncover the power of Boruta, the cunning of the Chort, and the other demonic beings who blur the line between nature and the underworld. First, let's journey to the dense, ancient forests of Poland, the domain of a ruler who is especially sophisticated and sinister. He's not some mindless beast or a grotesque monster. Instead, he might appear to a lost traveler as a savior, a tall, handsome nobleman in fine clothes, offering a warm smile and the promise of shelter. This is Boruta, the noble devil. Boruta's story blends old pagan woodland spirits with the classic aristocratic trickster. He's a demon of duality. On one hand, he's a fierce protector of his domain, guarding the animals and trees with an almost obsessive jealousy. Woodsmen and hunters who showed respect, maybe by leaving a small offering, might find their paths cleared and their hunts successful. But those who disrespected the forest, who took too much or acted with arrogance, would face his cunning wrath. Unlike other demons who rely on brute force, Boruta's favorite weapon is deception. Legends tell of lost, freezing travelers stumbling upon a magnificent, warmly lit manor deep in the woods. Inside, Boruta plays the gracious host, offering a grand feast and fine wine. But it's all an illusion. The opulent hall is a trap. The food turns to dust and ash in your mouth, and the wine is just murky water. Any traveler who accepts his hospitality becomes a prisoner, doomed to wander the phantom halls for eternity, slowly losing their mind. Visually, Boruta is the definition of eerie elegance. He's often shown in a fine nobleman's cloak and hat, with sharp, intelligent features. But if you look closer, you might spot the subtle hints of his true nature. Eyes that gleam with an unnatural light, or maybe the tip of a demon's tail peeking out from under his coat. He is the personification of the forest's deceptive beauty, inviting on the surface, but hiding a dark, dangerous power just beneath. He isn't simply evil. He's a lord protecting his kingdom, using fear and illusion as his crown and scepter. But Boruta wasn't the only ruler in the woods. Other, more chaotic forces were at play. Now, we leave the noble courts and travel to the crossroads, bogs, and the darkest parts of the forest, where a much older and more primal entity lurks. This is the realm of the Chort. The name Chort comes from an old Slavic word that simply means demon, and his origins go way back, predating Christianity's influence. He's a being of raw, mischievous chaos. Where Boruta is a calculating nobleman, the Chort is a wild, unpredictable trickster. He doesn't rule a specific territory so much as he embodies the dangers baked into the wild itself. He is temptation given form. The Chort is a master shapeshifter. He might appear as a black dog trotting silently beside you on a lonely path, or as a fellow traveler who offers a shortcut only to lead you into a swamp or a dead-end ravine. He thrives on desperation and greed. One of his most famous tricks is making deals at crossroads, a place in Slavic lore where the veil between worlds is thin. He'll offer a desperate farmer wealth, a lonely man love, or a lost soul knowledge, all for the low price of their soul. But these bargains are always twisted. The wealth brings misfortune, the love turns to sorrow, and the knowledge drives a person mad. The Chort delights not in pure evil, but in the tragic irony of watching a human bring about their own downfall. He's also a guardian of hidden treasures, but they're always cursed. Folk tales are filled with stories of men who, guided by the Chort, unearth chests of gold only to be driven to madness or meet a violent end. He doesn't want the treasure. He wants to watch the greed it inspires destroy the person who finds it. In his true form, the Chort is far more grotesque than Boruta. He's often imagined as a hairy humanoid figure with the legs and hooves of a goat, curved horns, a long tail, and claws. His eyes burn with a fiery, mischievous light, and he almost always wears a sly, knowing grin. He is the embodiment of the forest's raw, untamed, and amoral nature. A force that would just as soon play a deadly prank on you as it would ignore you completely. And this is only scratching the surface of what was believed to live in these forests. If you're finding this side of mythology more unsettling than the stories we usually hear, make sure you're subscribed. Because the deeper we go, the darker these legends become. And the next ones? They don't just deceive you, they pull you in. But it wasn't just male spirits ruling these forests. Powerful and often terrifying female spirits held their own courts in the shadows, their stories born from tragedy and the wild feminine essence of the wilderness. First, we meet the Mavka, a spirit of heartbreaking beauty and profound sorrow. The Mavka are the restless souls of young women who died unnatural or tragic deaths, often before they could marry or have children. They are most active in the spring during what's known as Rusalka week, when the world is bursting with life, a cruel reminder of the life they lost. A Mavka appears as a stunningly beautiful young woman, sometimes in a thin white folkloric dress with long flowing hair that can have a greenish tint. She lures young men deep into the woods with her enchanting songs or mesmerizing dances. But this isn't a malicious act like the Chorts. It comes from a deep loneliness and a desperate longing for the life she was denied. Still, the end result is often deadly. The men she enchants might die of exhaustion trying to keep up with her dancing, or simply waste away from the torment of her ghostly embrace. The most telling feature of a Mavka is that she casts no shadow, a clear sign that she doesn't fully belong in our world. She is a tragic figure, a symbol of lost innocence and the dangers that can lurk within beauty. She is both a protector of the forest and a spirit of vengeance, a queen ruling a court of sorrow. But where the Mavka is a spirit of tragedy, our next entity is one of formidable power, the Leshachikha. She is the female counterpart to the more famous Leshi, and in some stories she's his wife. While the Leshi is a warden, the Leshachikha is a true queen of the woods, embodying its power to both nurture and destroy. Like her male counterpart, she controls the plants and animals, and she can protect those who show her respect. But she is far more feared. The Leshachikha is known as a stealer of children. She preys on unbaptized infants or children cursed by their own parents, snatching them from their cradles. In their place, she leaves a log that magically looks like the child, though it soon sickens and dies. The fate of the stolen children varies. Some are raised in the forest as her own wild offspring, forever lost to the human world. She's a powerful shapeshifter, able to appear as a beautiful maiden, a terrifying hag, a wolf, or even blend into the trees. Shepherds would often try to bargain with her, leaving offerings of bread and salt to make sure their flocks could graze safely. The Leshachikha represents the forest's untamable maternal instinct, fiercely protective of its own, but utterly merciless to those who trespass. We've met the noble trickster, the chaotic tempter, and the shadow queens. But what about the fear that has no face? What about the evil that you can't see but can only feel? For our final journey, we're entering the realm of pure psychological terror to confront a being known as the Bies. Unlike the other spirits we've explored, the Bies is rarely given a solid physical form. Its name is ancient, and in some regions it's used interchangeably with Chort, or just evil spirit. But the Bies represent something far more subtle and sinister. It is the unseen presence in the woods, the malevolent force that haunts desolate bogs, lonely crossroads, and the dark spaces between the trees. The Bies is a demon of misfortune and a whisperer of lies. It doesn't need to appear as a black dog or a nobleman to lead you astray. It works on your mind. It's that sudden, chilling feeling of being watched. It's the disembodied voice that whispers your name on the wind, making you turn and lose your path. It's the force that plants seeds of greed, paranoia, and despair right into your thoughts, pushing you toward sin without ever showing its face. Legends say the Bies emerges from places of great despair or where blood has been spilled. It doesn't make deals for your soul. It just corrodes it from the inside out. Villagers would blame the Bies for a sudden string of bad luck, for livestock falling ill for no reason, or for people who simply vanished from the woods without a trace. It represents a more primal fear, the fear of the unknown, and of our own minds turning against us. When it is given any form at all, it's a fleeting shadow, a column of dark smoke, or just a pair of glowing eyes in the blackness that vanishes the moment you try to focus on them. The Bies is the ultimate psychological ruler of the forest's darkness, a reminder that the greatest demons are sometimes the ones that exist entirely inside our own heads, fed by the isolating silence of the ancient woods. From the deceptive elegance of Boruta to the formless dread of the Bies, the Slavic forests are ruled by a court that is far darker and more complex than simple monsters. These beings aren't just scary stories. They're powerful symbols of humanity's relationship with the natural world. They represent the forest's duality, its power to enchant and to destroy, to nurture and to mislead. They personify our most ancient fears of getting lost, of temptation, of sorrow, and of the darkness that lies not just in the woods, but within ourselves. They're a chilling reminder that the world beyond the safety of our homes is not ours to command, and that in the deepest shadows, ancient rulers still hold their silent, terrifying sway. What other dark spirits of the forest do you know about? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark heart of the woods, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and hitting the notification bell for more explorations into the shadows of mythology.